Hey everybody! So, it is kind of a cold, overcast day. It's my day off though, and it's my fiance's birthday, and we thought it would be really fun today to drive up to Seattle and north of Seattle. We're going to check out vintage toy stores. We're going to check out some of things like Pike's Place Market, we think. Maybe get some interesting food in downtown Seattle. We definitely want to hit Uwajimaya, this Japanese market that also has a Kinokuniya Book Store with tons of manga and stuff. So I'm going to take you with me and let's kind of see what kind of fun stuff we can see. We're going to see all sorts of cool comic books and toys today. Let's do it. All right, so this is BobaKhan, and I think that this vintage toy store is honestly something very, very special. I love going here because it's not just for shopping. To me, this is sort of like entering a toy museum. Look at the stuff that you'll see. A lot of this isn't even for sale when we look at the props, when we look at the decoration. I love starting off looking at some of my favorite toys from my childhood. And as a kid, just so you know, I was a massive fan of two things, Transformers and G.I. Joe. Couldn't say exactly why, but it actually is what got me into comics because I started reading G.I. Joe and Transformers comics, and that drew me into discovering other Marvel and DC titles at the time. So when I look at stuff like this, the nostalgia pull is incredibly strong. I had a great deal of these figures and toy sets as a kid. I've since sold them all. I don't have any of my childhood toys anymore. I wouldn't really say that it's a regret. I loved this stuff as a kid. At a certain point in my life, I did just feel the need to downsize. And so I sold all my G.I. Joe stuff, all my Transformers stuff, and even the vast majority of comics. I never had any of these wrestling figures as a kid. I wasn't super into wrestling when I was young, but I definitely had friends that had these figures. They loved these things. They were very popular in the early 80s. BobaKhan, as you can see, look at that, a stormtrooper. If we look over here, we've got Star Trek, we've got superheroes. Now we're going to just start taking a look at some of the merchandise. I didn't even look at the price on this, but I thought it was cool. Oh, here are some toys that really are from almost failed lines. They did okay, but not for too long. You never hear about Crystar or Dino Riders anymore. Mask is one I'm surprised didn't take off more though. Transforming vehicles and action figures. It was cool, it was loved, but it didn't last that long. I'm surprised sometimes. There's Wheeled Warriors. That was a small line that I was super into. They have a ton of Godzilla stuff. I love kaiju. When I was younger, I was super into Star Wars. I still love Star Wars, but I'm saying the toys. I only had about 8 or 9 action figures as a little kid, and then in the 90s, they restarted the line, and I got a bunch, but I've also given those away. Micro Machines, if anybody knows what those are, you remember those commercials. You know, I think I actually do still have my Star Trek collection by Playmates. Look at all these weirdos. This is just a store that has any type of toy that you can think of. It's amazing. They've got all sorts of rare vintage stuff, valuable stuff, as you can see, and they have more recent stuff as well. It can be for kids, it can be for collectors, there's stuff for girls and boys, there's import and domestic stuff. Look at that, high-end Hot Toys. And, like I said, they do carry some comic books. Not new stuff, exclusively used. Anyway, this is just a wall of their graded comics. Something I'm not super into personally, but there are one or two there that I would love to own. I'd really get a kick out of having something like that. Alright, so as we look at these DC figures, we're going to focus on one thing at the end, which is a Halloween item. And this is what Halloween costumes were when I was a kid. One plastic mask, and then a plastic shirt that would say the character's name on it. There is a massive horror section at this store. I'm a big fan of horror, anything from this older movie monsters from Universal to more modern stuff like Halloween and Friday the 13th. There's also some cool Living Dead dolls. So much cool stuff. One time I got one of these Lego figures from BobaKhan. These are all unofficial Lego figures. They're done by people that are making them for all sorts of movies. I got some Lego skeletons that said that they were Star Wars Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. To me, that was pretty funny. But look at the packaging. It's fantastic. So those are really nice. And they're not too much. I think it's like $5 or $10 for most of them. A few of them, I guess, cost a little bit more. I don't know why. Maybe it involves more work. Again, when you go to this store, it's almost like going to a mini Comic-Con because of all that decoration. It's so unique. Those are Blythe dolls, those three. Those are from Japan and are pretty expensive. And a couple of these are vintage Barbies. Not really stuff that I'm an expert on, but I want to show you that there's a little bit of everything. Transformers, I was big into this as a kid. Some of those are even Japanese imports like Star Saber. I do regret not getting this. A Christmas Optimus Prime, I should have got that, but I didn't. And when I look at all this stuff, it looks so familiar. I had probably 90% or more of the things that you're looking at. That was just what I was into as a kid. I loved Transformers. My grandparents had puzzle boxes that they tried to get me into when they saw that I was into Transformers. And you know what? I did kind of get into their old puzzle boxes. These are all import or at least Asian-inspired action figures and statues. There you see Nezuko from Demon Slayer, some pretty modern stuff. All sorts of dolls for girls and for boys. And also some statues. Oh my god, Secret Wars. I didn't have that many toys as a kid. I always wanted Secret Wars, Spider-Man, Captain America, and Wolverine. Never got any of them. Always wanted them. Strawberry Shortcake was something I definitely know my sister was into as a kid. I remember that they had a good smelling scent, and I kind of liked that. I was amused by that. I never had a single He-Man as a kid. That one, just a nerd blind spot for me. I don't know too much about it. But Ninja Turtles, that's something I've always been a fan of. Mostly the comics, admittedly, but I do have a Donatello collection. Look at all these Funko Pops. Again, that's not something I own, so I really didn't know what to focus on. Just shows that there's a lot of different stuff. Incredible. And we close out with a look at some plush dolls. So this is a store where you can find just about everything. My Little Pony, it's just north of Seattle. Very, very fun place to visit. Got some stuff. A good day.
Yeah.
Uwajimaya is one of my favorite places in Seattle. Great grocery store with some really interesting treats and food. But also cool is the bookstore connected to it, Kinokuniya. Lots of cool import stuff. My glasses are fogging up. Let's go take a look. I'm familiar with bananas. I like plantains. I'll be honest, I don't really know red bananas. Red bananas. I'm curious about these. This makes me hungry. What do you want for dinner, Chrissy? Yeah. Dragon roll. What's that got in it?
Unagi.
Unagi.
Ross Geller's favorite meal.
Personally, I have to admit, I do like sake and soju. Oh, look at all these. I want to try them all. I like that label. That's cool art. So many sweets. Savory. Got all sorts of tea, including Mandalorian tea. Mandalorian black tea. Wonder what that tastes like. That looks so good. Yuzu flavor. Oh, good citrus. Kind of pricey, to be honest. Kind of pricey. I am curious to try it. Maybe next time. Even if for some reason you don't like fish, you can still make sushi at home. And like I was just showing you with the video, you know, you could put franks in it. You could put pork in it. You could have chicken. You could make it with vegetables. So it's, I don't know, it's just kind of a fun art. It teaches you patience because it's very easy to use these tools and tear the seaweed. But yeah, it's a nice sort of act of creation. So it's kind of, it can be really enjoyable beyond just the good taste. Oh, yes. Chrissy, it's your birthday. What are you looking for among these Japanese treats? What would
Just
stand out?
happiness.
Happiness? And it looks like you maybe found a
Yes.
small measure of it. Cool. That looks interesting. Sake jelly shot. Okay. Okay. Jigsaw puzzle. That's fun. All sorts of cute stuff. That's adorable. I love it. An Eisner Award winner section. Monstrous. Little Bird. George Takei's book. Usagi. Tilly Walden. That's just great. What a great idea for a section. Seen the Akira box set on my set, but they also have the colossal editions of Attack on Titan here, complete Dragon Ball, more of the Akira. Yeah, they've got a lot of really nice complete sets. A whole Junji Ito section here with all of his stuff, all of his like compilations. Frankenstein is amazing. Smash was a good anthology. This is a good real life story that he tells about his own cats. Very, very cool. One of the things I like about Kinokuniya is they'll have some of these cool art books that you could probably find in some comic book stores, which is great, but then they'll also have all sorts of art books that you can really only get imported. Like this one is anime architecture, or various technique books to potentially help you draw. So this stuff is very common in a Japanese book or art store, but here in America you have to come to a place like this, and they just have a really nice selection, which is exciting. If you have a favorite artist, you can find an art book by them here usually, which is incredible. Like for instance, FLCO, you can find the Gainax art book for that. This is a beautiful art book. I've got a copy of this one. But they've got all sorts of interesting stuff that you just aren't going to find anywhere else. Yes, they have a dedicated Gojira section full of imported Godzilla items. They'll also have bandanas, all sorts of amazing art books, keychains from like the Godzilla store. Over here there'll be various books. Oh, actually this is Gundam, but they'll have books like this for each movie with photos and stories. It is in Japanese though. It's a lot. two books. We got to Pike Place Market. Let's just sort of see what kind of seasonal things there might be. And there's also a really cool comic shop here that I haven't actually been to in a very long time. So we'll check that out. So I'm inside now. I'm going to be respectful and wear my mask. I mean, I have to. It's not up to me. But anyway, Golden Age Collectables is interesting. It says that it's the oldest, still running comic book store in the United States. I haven't found a way to confirm that or not, but it's been around a long time, and it's usually got some cool stuff. So let's take a look. Don't generally see this too much anymore, but you used to see it at conventions all the time. Just original script, screenplays, yeah. A lot of just sort of tchotchkes and stuff like that. Board games and role-playing stuff. Tons of trade paperbacks, tons of that stuff. That's cool. We've had a good day exploring all sorts of stuff in the Seattle area, and as you can see, the sun has set here, except because we've got a wide open view over the ocean, we can see just a little bit of the sun there in the distance. Wow. Well, that was a pretty awesome day. My fiance Chrissy and I had a great day, and I'll just show you some of the stuff that I picked up for myself. Actually, this is for both of us. This is an illustration magazine, 2022, with all the artwork inside by various Japanese artists. Just a magazine of what this publication considers some of the best artwork of the year. A lot of different styles, even though it's all different artists from Japan. I know my house is all weird right now. We're sort of wrapping stuff up for Christmas. So yeah, just a lot of stuff going on there. I picked up issue 1 of, or I should say tankobon 1 of Chainsaw Man. I've heard a lot of good things about this. Don't know really what it's about, but we shall see. What else? I got this at BobaKhan Toys. Back in the day, they had like a 12-inch Godzilla toy, and this one is just like a mini version of that, but I'm a big Godzilla fan, and I don't know, that just really, really amused me. So kudos to Super 7 for designing that. Almost done. Picked up this book. I love Guy Delisle's work. He's written a lot of books that are nonfiction. Most of them stories about his life, and this one is too. He's written about countries he's lived in. He's lived in North Korea, he's lived in Burma, he's lived in Israel. It's interesting. This is more just like his first job, working at a massive printing press when he was young, when he was a kid, basically. And finally, I got myself a t-shirt here. Let me open it up. Let's see what we got here. You might recognize those two. That is Godzilla and Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaguar, punch, punch, punch. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, There's an official Jet Jaguar song, just a ridiculous character from Godzilla's past. I'm very amused by Jet Jaguar. So, sorry about my disorganized house in the background, but I had a great day. I hope you had some fun exploring with me.